Jana.
It's about time.
It's about goddamn time. Welcome everybody to Aquarius Tangent. As per, you've got your gorgeous hostesses with the mostesses, Louise and Heidi. And today we've got our very first fucking live guest, absolute badass bitch. It's our girl Jana.
Jana. Hi, girls.
I'm not going to ask you to introduce yourself because what we'll do is we'll get a bio from you and we'll whack that in the description. But just for time saving, all that people need to know is that you are a fellow awesome woman who runs her own business, who has a magical woman in business, as I always say. And this podcast, as you know, isn't really, we don't really talk about our businesses too much, but I feel like everyone needs to be aware of the fact that you do run your own business and you are wicked fucking sweet at it. And what we'll do is we'll put your links to follow you, your Instagram, and any other links that you want. We'll whack them down in the description. So if you like what you hear, people, then go follow Jana, because she's
go follow Jana.
It's awesome. So today we're going to talk about what it means to operate from a place of insight and wisdom as opposed to operating from a place of information and knowledge. And that sounds a bit weird, but what I mean by that is if you read something and you go, oh, that was interesting, now let me regurgitate that to somebody else, all you're doing is handing over information. You've read the information, now you're regurgitating the information, or you've learned the information, now you're telling somebody else the information. When we add in our own experience, when we add in our own intuition, when we add in our own insight, we then start to talk about things from a place of inner wisdom. And that's really, really hard for people to do at times. It's really hard to own your awesomeness in that. And I know that's played out for me in a vast number of scenarios in my life, particularly with my friends with children. Here we go. Who will ask me, tell me something, and then I offer my insight and my wisdom, and they're like, well, you don't know jack shit, Lou, because you ain't got fucking kids. And I'm like, does that mean then that I can't empathize and see shit from outside the box? Does that mean I'm not allowed an opinion? It's not even an opinion. I am an Aquarius, and I know that I'm right even when I haven't experienced your situation. That's what I'm telling you. And that's insight. That's inner wisdom. That's inner knowing. Yep. That ain't shit I've read out of a book. So,
and that's to also say that operating from that place can be scary as fuck.
Yeah. That's why you got to own it. You got to come at it like with arrogance in the first instance, so that you can get used to it, and then you can kind of soften it down a bit. But in the first instance, you just got to be like, well, I'm fucking rude, and come at it like, I'm going to fucking tell you, and piss people off, and then they'll get over it quite quickly, and then you can like soften to it a bit. But yeah, so tell me what you guys think.
So I think if you're operating from a place of, things that you read online or whatever, that kind of knowledge, and you're just parroting it back to somebody. So I'm going to like say this in relation to how I am in what I do as a coach. If I were to read something about life coaching and I just parrot that back to my client, that's empty words. To me, that's empty words. And I know I'm going to say it, the word niche. Hate that word. But that word niche, but the fact of the matter is that if you're going to be a life coach and you're going to be a generalist and you're just Googling shit to tell back to your client, there's no value in that. But there is value to my niche, for instance, for women who they suddenly realize they don't know what the hell their purpose is in life anymore. Yeah. And the reason that is something that is close to me is because I have gone through it. I am still going through it. Right now, I feel great, but 3 months from now, I might hit that shitty wall again where I'm going to be like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I don't know, I'm a failure and all of that coming back again. But that is the inner wisdom. That is what helps you to relate to somebody
Yeah.
with whatever's going on. Not reading something off of Google to them and saying, so here's a great example. When I first started coaching, oh my God, I'm admitting this. I had,
We haven't even tried, and we've already started to pull out information
Yeah.
from you.
oh God,
Bring
I
it.
had a client, a potential client. We were on our, 30-minute call. And of course, I was following all the rules of the coach training school and saying, and fuck my life, didn't they say, I don't know what I want to talk about today? I'm like, damn, now I have to figure out what they want to talk about. So I'm like, oh, the wheel of life. Okay, well, we can talk about finances, family, spirituality. Doesn't she pick spirituality? And I'm like, I don't even know what spirituality even means. So I'm like,
Breadcrumbs.
I say that to her. I'm like, let me Google that.
Oh, bless you.
What's
I'm like, oh my
spirituality?
God, let me Google that. Well, no wonder I didn't take her on as a client because she was like, probably like, what fucking kind of life coach are you if you don't even know what spirituality means?
It's not even that, Jana. It's the lack of trust in that at that point in time. It's the lack of trust that you had in yourself
Yeah,
to not understand on an intrinsic level what that
yeah,
not just what it means for you, but to then ask the question, okay, spirituality. So what does spirituality mean for you? You know, to your potential client in that moment,
yeah.
you're just like, holy shit, let's Google that. Oh!
No, and to say it and to say to her, hold on, let me Google that.
I love
Jesus,
you for that.
what was I thinking, right? But now, if somebody asked me about spirituality now, I would be like, you have no idea.
Now you're a
The
little bit of a witch.
spirituality for me is facing my own shit head on and staring it right in the face and turning inside to myself and really asking myself, is what you believe really true?
Mhm.
Is I don't know, spirituality, I don't know, I just feel like spirituality is not something that's in everybody's wheelhouse right away.
Mhm.
That's how I feel
No,
about it.
it's
Because they have
not.
to Google it. But
And
what
because they have to Google
they have to
it,
Google
They
it.
have to Google it.
But what it boils down to, again, intrinsically, it boils down to trusting to come back to your inner wisdom, coming back to
yeah,
self, coming back to your inner wisdom, and then being flexible enough to ask questions, to examine your beliefs, to be flexible and with your beliefs, to have a growth mindset, to be able to evolve, receive, expand, all of those things.
yes, and Heidi's favorite word, surrender.
Surrender.
Really, seriously.
Yeah,
Yes, I saw that. Do not think that I did not see that signal right there from both of you. You're so wonderful. I love you too. But really, every time I think of surrender, I think of the tarot card, the Fool, or not, is it the Fool? Where he takes
I
the
don't
leaf
know.
off
Tell me
the
what you
book?
think of.
what do you reckon?
Oh my God, they're back again. I gotta get peanuts.
I,
Sorry.
I,
So if
I
you just saw my face, oh,
Yeah,
because two
don't,
big black
Crows.
crows literally just as you were talking about spirituality landed outside my window and then they took off and then they're now sitting on the fence across from my window eating
They took
peanuts,
off when
looking
I
at me.
said I had to Google about it, right?
they were like,
But
no shiny objects for you, Jana.
I know. They're like,
Really
screw
gotta make friends.
you,
I gotta
lady.
get some peanuts and make friends with these crows. I'm gonna
They're
do
like,
it.
no, we don't want to hear her talk about Googling about spirituality.
Well, depending on your thoughts in the tarot, there's a few different cards that could represent surrender. The biggest school of belief is that it's the Hanged Man because he's just like hanging there upside
Yep.
down. There is a sense of surrender to the Fool, but it's more like an active surrender where you're like taking off and jumping off that cliff and it's a leap of faith kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's also, for me personally, surrender for me is strength, the strength card, because it's choosing actively to say, I could give in. I could take control right now. I could let my ego take over and go, but you know what? I'm going to say hands off.
Yeah.
I'm going to tuck my tail between my legs. I'm going to let them do what they need to do for me.
I take issue with the strength cards.
Uh-oh.
Right, okay, because I always read the strength cards as courage, which, yes, I know it's semantics, but strength to me is like a force, like a, you know, like we do as women, you know, we have to be strong and we admire strong women and we're like, oh, she's had all this shit thrown at her, isn't she strong? And it's like, no, I'm knackered. Like, yes, I'm strong, but I'm also exhausted. I don't want to be fucking strong anymore. I want to admit that I'm allowed to give myself permission to be soft and to be vulnerable and to accept that I don't have to be strong all the time. That takes courage. For me, that is what the strength card is representative of when it comes out in readings.
We about to fight.
So there's like a fearlessness there, which is not the absence of fear. It's the recognition of the fear and then moving through the fear. So that whenever I pull strength, that's what I tend to get, depending on, you know, the rest of the cards. But I think we're talking much of a muchness, really. I'm just semantics and pedantics.
Yeah. And
that should be my new bio, semantics and pedantics.
Yep.
Yes.
This is exactly what you said. I can see what you're saying when you're like, oh, it's strength. But really the question is, when it comes to strength, when it comes to strength and surrender, it's, and you're talking about, well, I'm knackered. I don't want to be strong.
No. That's not what I meant.
That's where the true strength is.
Yeah, to have the courage to admit it. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yes.
That's what courage. Yeah.
And handing it over. I was like, I'll pull my card out now.
Yeah, I'm rowing with you. I'm rowing with you. I'm saying the same fucking thing.
So, I know, but I'm saying that when you see the card and the imagery together, it's like, I don't like it because it means this. And I'm like, but it means exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm trying to find it in tarot cats because actually,
yeah. Well, you guys talk, and I'm going to look through the lesser cards.
Here we go. See, look.
That reminds me of like you and me when we start talking, and I'm the cat sitting on your mouth, being like, "Okay, Luz, shut up. It's my turn."
Oh no! See, I see myself as the cat, babe. You wash your fucking gums. I ain't finished.
So I told Heidi I'm looking through the left. She calls my oracle cards the lesser.
The lesser, I know.
The lesser cards.
Jana,
I know we're not going to go into businesses too much. Jana is just a background, is an oracle card reader, but I take the piss out of her by calling them lesser cards. It's just jokes. But she loves it.
It's because oracle is a predominantly, oracle highlights what you need to hear. It's very empowering, oracle. Tarot is like, sort your fucking life out at times. And that's why it's less gentle at times. Oracle tends to be like, here is where you need to focus, but in a very empowered way.
Let me take your hand and we'll go together.
Let's do that, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And there's room for both, apart from Heidi's like, but tarot, it's just like, you know, tarot, you pull a card and it's already slapped you around the face before you've even fucking read it. So it's kind of like, you know, which is why I use both. Like when I read, I use
both too. Predominantly tarot, and then I use kind of oracle here and there. But
so let me just say this: two cards that come up for me, and for me, yes, they represent like the death card for me in tarot, is all about for me about letting that old shit just die, right? Basically. And two cards that come up for me a lot. So I use the Celtic Spirit Oracle and I use the Rooted Woman Oracle a lot for myself. Those are two decks I won't use for for clients, because I feel very.
I get it. I have my
those are
deck.
mine,
Yours,
right?
yeah. I've got
So
decks that I don't use with other people.
the Morgan.
Oh, I was gonna say yes, because Heidi's banging on about her fucking crows, and I was gonna say, oh fucking Morrigan, and then you pull them out as well.
Morgan comes up for me a lot.
Synchronicities.
Because to me, that's all about like healing, and it's about just letting go of shit. And
Surrender.
I'm reminded constantly, and surrender, you know, to me, for me personally, that's like, you know, open yourself up to what's coming, what's out there, and stop being tied to what was.
It's about embracing your magic as well, Morrigan. Embrace your magic, embrace your depth, you know, understand that there is no duality, that you are two sides of the same fucking coin in one, you know, you can be both, you know, but also, yeah, that connection to the spirituality and knowing that that's within you, like that is so important. And yeah, surrendering to it, trusting it, knowing it, accepting it, embracing it, like all of those things are so freaking important. Like, and I mean, you are there, Jana.
Yeah.
All it is with you now is just confidence.
Yeah.
And you've got two of the
And
best
it takes time.
leaders on the planet.
I know. I think though, I look back at me last year versus me this year. And you know, currently pouring my heart and soul into something coming up for me around the corner. I'm not gonna say what that is right now, but but it's the first time that I have, and I think I've said this to both of you separately, but it's the first time that I've ever felt really so much joy around what I'm working on, because I was willing to surrender, and I was willing to open myself up to receiving and open myself up to oracle cards, and finally admitting to myself that there was nothing wrong with me wanting to learn to read. And opening myself up to that, only to find out that I was so in love with them that they become a part of my morning routine every day. Every day I do pull for myself. So really being open to everything and taking in all of that stuff and making it my own has just turned me into this different, I don't even know that I can say, I'm almost ready to cry, but I almost can't say that it's being a different person.
You're falling in love with yourself, Jana, is what's happening.
Yes. It's who I probably don't even remember who I was years ago when I was a kid. I've come back to that, you know.
That is you pursuing something that sets your heart on fire.
Yeah.
That is an act of self-love.
Yeah. And this is getting back to the original topic here. I think this is what that inner wisdom is all about. That's where
100%.
that's what's important to me. My business making 7 figures is, hey, that's a great goal, right? But for me, the bigger thing that like gets me high is to be able to work with women to get them to get to that realization too, that, you know, it's okay to go back to who you were before anybody ever fucked around with your mind.
Yeah.
And it's okay to love yourself, and it's okay to cry, and it's okay to just be you. Just be you in every sense of the word, you know. So I
100%.
oh,
And that is the message. That's the message that we are spreading. That's
Yeah.
why we're doing this podcast, is so that everyone can be part of this conversation and this dialogue, which is just all about self-empowerment, self-love, self-worth, self-knowledge, you know, that inner standing of self. Like, all of that is so integral. And when you're walking through this part of your journey and you are coming back to self, and you are falling back in love with yourself after other people have shit on it from a great height, and the world has jaded you and made you a fucking husk of who you once were, to start coming back and reclaiming these fragmented parts of your soul and who you truly are, when you start to really embrace these things that you're drawn to and fuck everyone else, it is a true act. It's defiant self-love. You know, self-love as an act of defiance, as an act of rebellion against the world that's trying to keep you fucking tiny little woman. I will not fucking have that. You are reclaiming your power. You are reclaiming that self-love. You are falling in love with yourself. And it is emotional and it's hard, but it's fucking so worth it.
And I think that's why we have so much trouble operating from a sense of a place of wisdom, especially as women, as opposed to intelligence, book knowledge, internet knowledge, whatever you want to call it, because we've been so conditioned to rely on other than ourselves, right? We look to parents, we look to society, we look to teachers to tell us how to be, to tell us. We all want that white picket fence, quote unquote, American dream, right? Where we have the partner and the white picket fence and the dog and the kids and that, but that's not for everybody.
Right.
Yeah, I tell you what, right, is the funniest thing. Somebody said to me on a comment thread the other week, I said something and they said to me, cite your sources, because I'd made, I don't know, a statement, cite your sources, and I just put me.
Me. I knew it. I knew you were going to say that. Like, fuck off, it's me.
Yeah.
Right? Fucking come at me, bro. Right? Cite my sources. How do I know? Because I fucking do. And that's enough for me now. I know because I know.
Yeah. You know, and I think, you know, when we talk about taking our power back, and this is interesting for me because what sparked in me when you said that was somebody I'm currently working with, who there is a need for always getting ahead, for being validated by others and all that. That insatiable need for wanting to always get ahead, have a higher position, have more this, more that, that to me, that isn't about taking your power back. That's about trying to prove yourself. You still haven't gotten to that point where you've taken your own power back. Like, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks about you, about what you do, about what you make, about what you have. What matters is, are we happy? I had somebody ask me one time, you know, women especially, and I say this because I see it more in women, as you know, women, including myself, throughout my career, we've clawed our way. Oh, I've got to get that promotion. And really deep inside, did I really want that promotion? No, I didn't. But did anybody, and somebody said to me, you know, has anybody ever asked us if we're happy?
Because as long as you're functioning, no one gives a fuck.
Right. I'm doing this because this is how my mom did it. This is how my dad did it. I went to this school because that's where my dad went. I became a lawyer because that's what my mom did. It's like a plague.
Yeah, it's like a cancer. It is like a cancer.
But you know, at the same time, like with my own parents, they grew up in the Depression era. They were extremely poor growing up, all of this stuff. That's what they knew.
Yeah.
You know, so I cannot
generational trauma.
Right. I cannot fault them for their beliefs and how they were raised and how they raised me.
We're not
But
blaming people.
at 59 years old now, though, I'm ready to break. What's that? You said I look
Too
25?
good. You look too good. Too good for. I can't. I honestly, I like the first time you told me how old you were, I was like, what the fuck? like, huh? Like, no, you're not, liar. Like, I just don't. I still don't believe you now. Like, no, you're
I am.
at least 10 years younger than that. Like, I know.
No, I'll be 60 in November.
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah,
Avino,
yeah.
Avino. They're not paying me to say that either.
Sponsor us, Avino.
I know, right? But seriously, I don't even know where I was now.
Not blaming your parents and the generation.
Yeah, I mean, I can't because they did what they knew how to do best. I did what I knew how to do best as a parent. We all do, right? But you're right, Heidi. It's like it's generational trauma. But
Yeah.
now at 59, I'm finally like, I'm done with this BS. I'm done with this BS. I am gonna follow my heart in what I love to do in my business.
I love
No
that.
longer is it package number 1 for one-on-one coaching, package number 2 for some exorbitant amount that nobody can freaking afford. That's where my head was, you know? But again, getting back to that inner wisdom, it's like, you better get in touch with your freaking self first before anything.
Yep.
If you want anything to work in your life, you have to get back in touch with you. You have to, as I say, take down that mask, and you better have a long, hard look at yourself in the mirror and start to, first of all, give yourself grace and just embrace who you are for who you are and stop trying to be, Googling spirituality.
And when you start to do that, that's when you can start to lean in to your wisdom. That's when it'll start to come forward more. And you'll need that knowledge and that how other people are telling you to do things less and less. And that's not to say that there isn't stuff to find and learn. Like sometimes you need to go and learn very practical skills, right? For business owners, you're learning how to market yourself. Maybe your toilet broke, so you're learning some plumbing. It's not to say that there isn't any value there, but for how you're living your life,
Yeah.
what makes you happy, what brings you joy, how to live in peace with yourself.
How to connect with
That's
other
a very
people.
inner wisdom.
Yeah. How to create a bond with yourself, how to give yourself compassion, how to get rid of a load of old shit that you don't need, or your shoulds and all of that shite. And then, and how to really truly deepen your bonds with others as well, how to connect with other human beings, whether that's in your relationships, in your business, or whatever. It really does boil down to trusting that place in yourself that knows, and and just accepting that but also being open to the fact that what I know today isn't what I'm going to know tomorrow, and someone can change my fucking mind tomorrow, and I'm cool with that. I'm
absolutely.
like, oh fuck, you do know what, I'm presented with brand new information now, I think differently about something. Nothing wrong with that either, like I still have conviction, but I'm not going to be blinkered. I'm not a fucking idiot. Like, so you have to, have that expansive kind of mindset and be willing to evolve as and when is necessary, and actually, and nurture that evolutionary journey that you're going on. And it all boils down to coming back to self.
It's about trusting yourself to do the thing that you want to do, no matter how scary it feels. And you may just scare the crap out of yourself.
And
Which is what? Courage!
You know what's really funny? Courage. You know what's really funny? Right before Heidi said, hey, can you do a Zoom? And I'm like, yeah, sure. Okay, Lou will send you a thing. I'm like, uh-oh, okay, we're in trouble. But no. Right at that moment, I was working on this project I'm working on and talking about the symbolism of armor. Isn't that coincidence? No coincidences here, right?
Only
Only
synchronous.
about
synchronicities.
armor
Only
and
synchronous.
how, you know, yeah, we can see armor as like protecting and all that, but armor to me also is about like you're retreating inside of yourself and you're not letting anybody in, anything in. You're not willing to open yourself up to, here we go again, surrender, right? And that's how I see armor too. I love you too.
Every time you say that word, I'm gonna.
I love you too. I love you too. Here's to your lesser cards too. Anyway. Do you have an itch?
Itchy. Yeah, so I'm so itchy right now. I'm so itchy.
A vino. Vino works great.
You know what else works
Sponsored
great?
by Aveeno. Not really, but Aveeno, if you want to sponsor us, get in touch.
Yeah, how coincidental that I was writing up stuff about armor and what that symbolized, what that could symbolize to somebody. Just because it means that to me doesn't mean it means that to anybody else, right? But what I'm saying is that, you know, if you really, really, really want to live life, you've got to open yourself up to all the fucking magic that is out there waiting for you. I had no idea. And you both know what I went through end of last year. You both know. And it was hard. It was hard. You know, when you think you're a complete failure, that's hard.
Been there.
And it's hard to give yourself compassion in that moment at all. Because all that you think about is all the times you were told you were a failure or a disappointment or wrong or bad. When I did really deep soul searching, I suddenly, I feel like I had stuffed down so many things about myself because when we stuff shit like that down, we think by stuffing it down that we're just never going to see it again, feel it again. And my moment my one thing that I had stuffed down that I had forgotten about was this, I think I told you guys about this, but my 6th grade incident where our class had to draw a picture of a historical figure. I chose Ben Franklin, whatever. But I and me and another girl, we had lunchroom duty where we collected money for milk money from kids. You know, my big first job in 6th grade. And so we went to the cafeteria. I had my drawing on my desk, blah, blah, blah. Came back from that little job in the cafeteria to find that my drawing was defaced by my classmates because my teacher let them do it. And he said, well, you drew him wrong. And when I thought back to that incident, I thought, you know, putting all the mommy issues aside, right? That incident, I was like, I didn't realize how hard that hit and how much that really made me start to feel like a failure and really start to turn inward and wear that armor and not let anybody in. You know what I mean? And over the years, then it turned into anger and bitterness and resentment. And even when I started my business, it was built off of those emotions. And I had no idea what it was like or what it even meant to look inward and deal with your own shit, you know? Stop lying to yourself.
Because in one fell swoop, somebody had told you to create something with no expectation, and then in the next breath they've told you, I've allowed other people to shit on it because your interpretation of this thing is incorrect, when actually there is no right and wrong here, but you're
It's not an art.
you are wrong when there is no right and wrong, and that you had no, before that, probably no real, you know, that's like, that is a significant event where like, oh shit, so me expressing myself can be considered right or wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'm going to be punished for it and humiliated for it and shown up for it, even though I'm doing something that's meant to be, you know, considered I don't know, like fucking acceptable, or like, you know, doing your little job, running around like working for the man, collecting your fucking milk money, and in the background behind your fucking back you got that shit going on. I mean, that would traumatize most people, I think.
A
Like,
kid in 6th grade. I mean, and it's not, it's one thing if the teacher tried to stop the kids from doing it, but the teacher allowed it and encouraged it. And so I guess how
that teacher's a bully and shouldn't have been teaching.
Well, yeah, clearly. But I mean, how does this circle into now our topic of, you know, this is where that inner wisdom comes from being able to look at all of that stuff about yourself and be able to bring that into the world and you know, in my case, work with other women who weren't, you know, they didn't have that situation in 6th grade, but surely they had other stuff going on that was relative to that, you know. So it's like, I get, when I say I get where you're coming from, and I've been there and I've done it many times over. I mean it.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to admit it. And I think that's a huge piece of it too. Not being afraid to admit it. just like wasn't afraid to admit I didn't know what spirituality was, but was dumb enough to say, let me Google that.
Yeah, but I love that. That was and this is the question, what's wrong with that?
Yeah. There's really nothing wrong with it. I guess, again, there's that perception of a coach should know everything. Should.
I think the way in which you, I mean, now, you know, you'd say, you would ask them a question. You would approach it differently now. But there is no right and wrong. There is no should or shouldn't. It's only your confidence and your inner wisdom to guide you in that moment. And in that moment you went, let me just Google that, because you,
and then, you know what, that's fine. It's totally fine because you're learning.
And it makes a cracking story.
Listen, if you guys have a cracking story, like Googling spirituality, let us know in the comments. Or if this has resonated with you, just comment "been there."
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let me just say this: should is could with shame attached to it.
Give this video a like if that resonates too. If you felt that.
Should is could with shame attached to it. Think about that. That is one thing that when one of my mentors in coach training said that, I was like, wow, that's powerful. Because when we think we should be doing something, it's because we feel bad because we're not doing something else. Whatever. I should be doing this, but I feel bad because I'm actually doing this. So what if you are? Should is could attached to it.
I'm gonna bring this full circle because it's time for me to pick up my daughter from school. So when it comes to wisdom, it's really tapping into the stuff, the lessons that you've learned. It comes from an inner trust and an inner knowing rather than somebody else or something else telling you how to live your life and how to be. It's not that there's any place for intellectual book knowledge, but it's more of that deep inner trust and wisdom to live your life. Thank you, Jana, so much for joining us on this talk today. This was so much fun. We've got to have you back sometime.
I would love that. I love you girls. You know that.
Love you, mate. Love you. So thank you everyone for joining us. Yes, subscribe, hit the notification bell, like, share, do all of that things, but 100% get in the comments, tell us what you reckon, tell us your thoughts, tell us what you agree with, tell us what you definitely don't agree with. We love a good debate. Tell us what resonated. If you've got anything that you can relate to within your own story, we love to hear them. And if you feel that you can share with us, then please do in the comments. If not, there's always our email address. Come and follow us on Instagram and everything else. And yeah, just fucking love y'all.
Love you.
Love y'all. I'm gonna end the recording now. Bye.